I think it's more about like how do we understand the best way to relate both sides, human and AI talent. It's not replacing or keeping one. It's inevitable. It's here. We pass from training 10 people to being able to hold 50 people bootcamps. And the role plays with the 50 people bootcamp, it would have not been possible with a human intervention. I've come to understand that, okay, if there's things that I can have help from a tool, then what are the things I can focus more that only I as a human can actually give?
So I wanted to hear from your perspective, what changed since after graduation for your reps? And what actually you started to leverage with SellMeThisPen?
I think there are two main perspectives that need a distinction.
Hello everyone, this is Michael Ocean, founder and CEO of SellMeThisPen AI. Today I'm super pumped because I got Pablo, my great friend Pablo Jaramillo on the call. And not only he's actually a good friend, he's one of our best clients. So we've been working with each other for almost 12 months. But I think this conversation today is going to be very valuable because so many of us talk about AI from outside world, but Pablo put AI into practice and he's seen, his company grow using SellMeThisPen. So I wanted to get some firsthand insights from him, the way they actually use this platform or similar platform, in fact, and how he sees AI being implemented in organizations like Ergeon that are very fast growing. Pablo, how are you doing, my friend?
Hey, Michael, nice to see you. As always.
Pleasure is all mine. So Pablo, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? How did you get into sales and then to coaching? And tell us, what's going on with Ergeon these days?
Hey, nice. Yeah. So before joining Ergeon, I actually worked in very different consultant and training programs, everything based on soft skills, human development, team building, communication, problem solving, like the full package of soft skills. And I had my own company, and I worked hand by hand with a clinical psychologist, and we did fantastic programs for all sorts of companies: tech, construction, health, governmental, NGOs, everything, education, all sorts of companies. And then coming to Ergeon, it's just like magic. Like I also have like a classical musician background in like a previous life. And I see this thing that says performance coach. And I was like, perfect. This is my thing. I have not seen, besides Netflix, and if people have seen Billions, they have a performance coach character there. So it is strange to see that offering like up front, like we are looking for a performance coach. I was like, hell yes, boom. And things just got into place. I just met the team, went through all the interviews, and it was a match from the beginning. And I had to sell very strange things in my past because it's selling untangible things. One of the things here that I really like is like when you sell products, when you sell tools, when you sell things that you can actually track and demonstrate how they work, it's a fantastic thing to show. But with intangible, it's always going to depend on the person's experience, which in the end with products and tools is not that different, but it's different the way to track it. So I had to sell different kinds of programs to different kinds of companies, from startups to big companies, like big old 80 years old companies in my country, to the newly tech startup with only young people. And my role at the beginning was to be the performance coach only for the sales team. And I entered to like support the team, support the leadership team. And then as part of the onboarding, I was asked to go through the bootcamp, and I was asked to give suggestions. And I gave a couple. And they asked me to help on the bootcamp. So I've been helping both on soft skills, mental health support for the sales team, but also on the training side with them. And there's where I met SMTP in actually the first bootcamp I helped as part of the training team.
That's interesting. So it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, a performance coach, it's not only about helping, develop soft skills, if you will, for the team, but also you help with mental health. Is that correct?
It is in a more holistic way. Let's say that it can go from dealing with very difficult situations that someone's handling, and if they want to take that pad and talk it to me in the company, that's my role. I can take it. I generally what I say this to the people in the sales team, and it's like I have three ways of working, and you choose the one that's best for you. If you need to talk about serious things, like sometimes there's friction with your boss, with a colleague, with a peer, or I don't know, another rep took your lead, and there's conflict, and you want to talk about that. What do you think? I'm Switzerland, neutral side, company stuff, but neutral. If you need to talk about more funny things, more spicy things in your life, I'm Las Vegas. And what happens there stays there. And there's people that has a lot of things in their life, and I can be the trash bag. So you just throw me things, I take them away. But sometimes the objective more of a performance coach intervention is people come to me, and in 2 or 3 sessions, like this is the good thing of being the internal performance coach. I'm the full-time performance coach of the company, so I know all the different things, tools, moments, seasons, behaviors, changes that have been going through the company. So the idea is that in 2 or 3 sessions, people can make up their mind, make up their heart, see things from a different perspective, and go back to work with
Mhm.
with better focus, better feelings, and all that helps in the mental health process. And of course, if there's something more delicate, I'm there to help too.
Makes sense. And you being part of the team, and seeing everything in real time. So whatever challenges or success stories or any changes like companies going through, because you are part of a team, you understand how other team members are, feeling. So when you get on a call with your team, you have more relevancy when it comes to these conversations. Okay. Look, I want to get a little bit more tactical and talk about first time, we met. So I remember when we decided to work with each other. So SellMeThisPen met Ergeon, we got introduced to you. I remember who's the head of sales at Ergeon. He said, look, you need to work hand in hand with Pablo because he's the guy who's basically, coaching everyone and you have a coaching platform. So I want his opinion. I want him to be really hands-on implementing this tool. So I wanted to understand, like, what happened? Like, tell us the story, like, about a year ago when we first met, like, how things were previously compared to, using SellMeThisPen. And it's been almost a year, and we actually just went through renewal. So this has been an interesting journey. But I would love to, understand from your perspective what actually really worked out and what we can potentially improve. And let's just have an open conversation so everybody can learn from this.
Yeah, so I can tell you even from before because I entered the company a little bit before SMTP jumped in, and I'm happy because I could see the difference, how things were before and how was the transition of like, let's start using this and then let's jump full all in with SMTP. So there are so many things, and the debate on AI taking the work from humans, that's going to be an endless debate. That's
Yeah.
fair one, but there's never going to be like a last conclusion. Pros and cons for all positions. What was interesting is how this helped accelerate the process. Um, so let me tell you what happened in boot camps is that we needed the tenured or the leadership members of the team to run mock calls in a certain part, like even in the interviews, and that was the main scenario that would determine if a person passes or not. Now, this is interesting because in one single mock call, you lose or keep a person, but a mock call is a scenario, is not the real life, is not handling customers. There's people that are super good for a mock call within an interview, But then following up on customers, creating that relationship is not something that you can see there. So there was this genuine interest in how to erase the most amount of bias from all evaluations, from the interviews to the training process to the ramp up period. And the problem with mock calls, it was a very good tool to measure some people's skills, but we would see differences in certain personalities, so we could not assure that it was going to be a fair process if we wanted to enlarge the team, and it will depend a lot on the trainers and managers' time. So I still remember the first boot camp. Um, they had to take like separate people. So you take this two, you take this two, you take this two, you take this two. They run the mock calls. The mock calls can get extended, and then they stayed until like 8 p.m. in the night to deliberate who passes, who not. And that would not necessarily ensure this is a good fit. So it was a lot of effort for one single moment that was not necessarily as accurate as other thing. What we saw on SMTP, it's the possibility of limitless trials. So the change was like mainly while we needed a lot of time from trainers and managers to not only run the role plays, but get together and deliberate. Yeah, but I saw this, but I see this. But did you ask that? No, I didn't. I asked this other thing. Here we could offer like a neutral, equal, and fair scenario to everyone and be able to compare. The questions that I was going to do were not the same questions that Jose, the head of the department, was going to do, and the main trainer was going to do, and another manager was going to do. So we were not evaluating people in the same way. Yes, with an understanding of focus, the criteria, but in the end, it could vary a lot. And it took a lot of time to do the role plays and deliberate. So the first thing that we saw was that, like, it frees a lot of our time. Now, a lot of people will say, like, yeah, but I mean, like doing a role play with a robot, like, come on, that's not challenging. I was super impressed, and this is kudos to you and your team because we had a lot of information. We had a lot of information about our processes, about our clients, the different kind of personas, the different kind of objections that we used to have. And I remember Jose can be scary on like info. I have info. Do you need info? I can give you 2x info, 10x info. So, and he was like, yeah, I can give you everything. And I think maybe now people are more aware of like make your own GPT. You can train your own GPT if you put certain documents. It's basically what you did a year ago before everyone was talking about it. You trained the AI that would know what we were needing to be done with the reps, how they were supposed to be like bounced back with objections, with the misunderstandings, or doing something else, challenging the rep to actually confront that. And that's, among other things, that's one of the tools that help us grow 5x in the amount of people we could train. We passed from training 10 people to being able to host 50 people bootcamps. And the role plays with the 50 people bootcamp, it would have not been possible with a human intervention. We would not have doubled or tripled or quadrupled the number of managers and trainers. So it would have taken us a week, people waiting on the line where I had it. So that was the first part. And then we saw something super interesting. You don't get to see how a salesperson organizes in different actions and little improvements that are basically like nurturing a pipeline on during time. One of the things that we like the most about SMTP is that it takes all the info, it takes the transcript, it gives the scores of very detailed things, and what we can see it's on time during bootcamp. Now, from day one, they start having role plays, and we get to see how they work on the specific scenarios on first days, first week, first 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and we can actually do like a pipeline review of how people are evolving, how do they actually nurture their pipeline. We have seen, for example, if we notice someone taking role plays and role plays and role plays and role plays, no, you're just burning through leads. You're not trying to understand what is it that you need to do better. Look at the scores, analyze it. Let's talk about it. Not don't just do play, and that gives us information about how people could behave in a real sales environment that normally you would never see until they get on the phone or get on the lines.
This is really interesting. I know we have multiple conversations with you, with Jose, and many people at Ergeon, and I heard a lot of stories. I have a lot of stories to share, but what you're saying right now is very unique. It's the first time I'm hearing. So you basically could get these patterns before sending people on field, and then you know what to expect from each individual. This is that what happened basically right after this bootcamp.
For example, this was an example of someone like desperate and burning through leads with the role
Yeah.
plays. We have also seen people using SMTP and they having themselves the, let's call it pipeline review of what is it, the most recurrent element that they're missing. And it it shows us you are analytical, you like to be self-aware, you like to look at your numbers, you look at you like to look at yourself, what do I need to do to improve? So we have been able to see people, but when we go and talk to them, they tell us, I was scoring low in this objection all the time. So I noticed that, I practice it, and now I'm doing it better. I was able to level up my score. And this tells us about how people can be autonomous. Uh, it also tells us if people are missing that, we are able to see it. Hey, you're always failing in the introduction. Yeah, there's something there that you are missing. So it helps us look at behaviors that we would normally only see in calls without the risk of making those mistakes in real calls with real customers.
Interesting. So let's just dive a little bit deeper into this. So I want to start with the boot camps. So obviously we have some numbers. I wanted to hear from your perspective one more time. This is what the team actually shared with me, that historically for 4 years we've seen around 50 to 60% graduation rate when you guys used to run these boot camps, and that number shifted to 85, 90% since you implemented SellMeThisPen. So I wanted to understand, like, what really helped to increase that number. Is it really the practice sessions that these reps, received because of role plays? What really happened? Like, I want to hear from your perspective, because you deal with all these individuals on a one-on-one basis. So what kind of feedback you've received from them?
Look, I want to say that there's the main element that helps on this, and there are like two pillars that has made it possible, which is equity, having an equal training and an equal evaluation for everyone. And the two pillars for that has been the practice on SMTP. Like I said, since day one, they get to practice. And I love it because we always listen to this. Like they do the role plays and they say, yeah, I've been practicing with the robot or with the AI. And when they get the real customers, they say that these people sound like the AI, that they sound the same. So I know there's a lot of work on your end, understanding what we needed. So that is super interesting, but they get like an equal experience of what to deal. They have a common experience and a repeated one versus the previous role plays. Like sometimes it was super good. I, I won't lie, but it would require a good match in personalities from the trainer and the trainee. It would require that you get to the, I don't know, we would invent scenarios like anything about home improvement and sell me an AC. Yeah, if you just get into what the person don't need, that was your only chance. So with SMTP, we were able to notice early on time things to work on for the reps, and they were able to do it.
Mm.
They had a clear path to do it. And the other pillar was having also a main trainer all the time, because before we had like different trainers, and then we moved to having like one main trainer that covers the whole training process and that actually understands very well what is it that SMTP adds for it. So it's not putting all the responsibility of the whole, because it's also learning our tools, learning our processes, learning all about our product, and then how to put that in relationship with SMTP.
Mm. So I think that's that's a really good testament to the fact that AI is not necessarily replacing people. That it will replace. I know you started the conversation like this. It's a big debate, and I don't want to steer the conversation in that direction. But it sounds like again your trainer is leveraging this tool in parallel with what they used to do, just to do the job better, to serve the internal team better, so everybody can win. And I think it's a false debate, even. Like, it doesn't even matter, like, if we replace job or not, as long as we improve.
If you want to laugh about it, because the main advantages that we have from the tool, it's the role plays and the coach. It also has a coach. So imagine there's the trainer and the human trainer and the human performance coach in a team, and we are the one that are more into telling people use it, use it. You do want to use it? Let's use it. You don't understand it? Let me explain to you. I,
Mhm.
I have I have shared my screen in a meeting and said like, this is what I see when I get into SMTP. They were worried because sometimes I don't know, it didn't recognize this. Like, this is what I want to see. I see this, I see this, I see this. This is all the info. You just put the dots together. And I think that's the human part of going through. Like, this is a magnificent tool to get a lot of detailed info in a structured way. And then the human comes in and says like, I'm looking at this. Yes, you have a lot of role plays, but I see that you're always missing this one. That might
Mhm.
mean that you're not putting attention to this. And it's a great team. Trainer, coach, plus AI tool.
Interesting. Look, you are basically the person who acts as one of the main admins of this tool. So when you have these one-on-one conversations, people might ask you a question about their results, about the
Mhm.
analytics, about like how to actually leverage the tool. And surprisingly enough, you're really embracing this as a superpower to what you do. But you're leveraging this tool not because I'm scared I'm going to be the admin. It's like someone who knows actually how to use the tool at a very high, you know, level, understanding of human behavior, understanding every individual's need within the organization, and understanding the tool more than almost anybody else. So you are in that power seat to help people use this tool better. This is how I look at it. Like, but many people are still really skeptical. Like, I literally had this conversation. Someone got on a call. It was not a performance coach, it was a trainer, large enterprise. Hey, what should I do next? What's my job after you implement this, as a joke? But I was like, no, you're gonna be the superpower. You're gonna gain that superpower because you're gonna be the admin of the system, leveraging it as a tool that you own to help people how to actually use it better. And you yourself, you're going to have more insights. You're going to have first-hand insight that you had to chase tons of sales managers and look at so many data and watch call recordings in the past, but you right now have it in front of you. So why not embracing it?
That's an inevitable debate. Like, this is a change. Just like when internet came in, that was the same debate. Like, yeah, well, what now? Like, no more post and emails. I think it's more about like, how do we embrace it and how do we understand the best way to relate both sides, human and AI talent. It's not replacing or keeping one, not it's inevitable. It's here. And the best that we get our hands on. Look, I'm the soft skills guy talking about embrace AI. And I have seen the benefits. Yeah, I had my doubts too. And then I said, look, okay, I put my hands on it. I'll get it. I'll do it. I'll understand it. And as I said, not just from a role play scenario, but also from an admin scenario, like, what is it telling me? How can it help me do my performance coach role better? And actually, we're having a bootcamp right now, and they were like intrigued, like, how guys do you evaluate the role plays? Because at the very beginning they have very low scores.
Yep.
And I said, this is what I look. I get into a call and look all these things. These are the three main elements that tell me you're doing what I'm expecting you to do now.
Do you believe your reps burn leads practicing on client calls? When it comes to giving them one-on-one coaching sessions, you just don't have the bandwidth, so you get rid of them altogether? Or maybe you notice that your team spends a lot of time on non-revenue tasks like taking notes, updating CRM, or drafting emails? These are the exact challenges we solve for other revenue leaders like yourself. With SellMeThisPen AI Coach, you can offer your reps role-play sessions at scale while automating one-on-one coaching sessions based on your best practices and methodology. Also, AI will take care of all their non-revenue tasks, like note-taking, CRM updates, draft the email for them, so they can focus on constant improvement while you're focusing on one thing and one thing only: revenue growth. If you're interested in learning more about the clients we are working with or use cases that might be beneficial to you, check us out at SellMeThisPen AI.
Let me ask you something, Pablo. Remember it was this story. I want you to give me all the details because I just saw it on Slack one day. One of your top performing reps who was showing resistance to our actually using the platform. Look, I've been doing this for a decade. I don't need it. I hit my numbers. And I'm doing fantastic. She shared something about using one of these role play scenarios, and she faced the same, objection with a real client, and she handled it and closed the deal. And then she shared this on Slack saying that, guys, I was skeptical of what is actually working. So what was the story behind that? Can you tell me? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but I do remember a good one, which, especially when we wanted to deploy the coach, the first thing that we had implemented for bootcamp was one role play closing call.
Mm-hmm.
This is our product. This is our scenario. The customer already knows what they know, and we wanted to see how the reps were able to move the customer to closing on the call. So that then we added different stages of our communication process with the customer. But then we added the coach. So after each call, you could have the AI coach and talk with them as they talk with me, and tell me, like, what do you think? What could I have done better? What would you recommend me? It's like a coach. And we invited the top closer of the company. This guy sold last year only himself $1.5 million.
Oh,
And he closed like 360 deals in the year.
oh.
So it's like basically like one plus a little bit per day. When he was trying the coach, like in the first pilot group, I still remember he saying, like, that thing told me things that I would have not thought about. And that actually helped me. And he was, again, a top performer, records next year, again, records of the year. And he would have no need to implement a new tool to help. He was able to say, I'm going to look at it. I'm going to see what it does. And I'm going to try it. I'm going to see it. And the most interesting part was, like, it is helping me. It can show me things that sometimes in the mood of the call you would not see.
Interesting. Look, some people are curious in nature, and it sounds like your highest performing rep or one of your high performers. They wanted to test out a new thing. Why not? Curiosity. As good salespeople, you're always curious. You ask questions. You're nosy. You want to understand, like, what's new. So, and it sounds like he had that. I don't know, he or she, that tendency to get the hands dirty and just, give SMTP a try. But I wanted to hear from coaching perspective, from leadership perspective. How did you get, your high performing reps to even pay attention to this tool? Did you recommend it to them? Did they heard from other folks using it? How did you, if they're not that curious, how do you build that curiosity? Or how did they even got informed that this tool exists? Because someone who's closing over $1 million assume they're super busy, closing deals on a day-to-day basis. So I want to hear from your perspective, what did you guys do right that someone at that level pay attention to the tool?
I think we did not focus on trying to hide the top performance to use it. I think it was more like the impact of these new boot campers coming in and super quickly having closes.
Yes.
So I think they started saying like, what's new on the boot camp? That these guys just come in like, oh, I heard there's 50 people coming in a boot camp, and like 30 of them already closed. How is this? Wait, like, so I think they got like a little bit scared of the newbies, saying like, what are the newbies doing? What are like I was not doing
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
That's
And
interesting.
then yeah, one thing goes to the other, and we were able for luck to see, of course, there's always people that are more resistant, people that I just like my way to do it, and this is what works for me. But I think we were able to, so last year we had several boot camps, and three of them were very big. So I think it helped that they were able to see uh, how powerful and helpful SMTP was, and they became like 40 or 50% of the team. So it was a large voice saying like, this thing helped me.
Right.
And then it became more like a common knowledge for everyone. We
Interesting.
didn't really wanted like to fight and see how we convince them. It's
Yeah.
something like kind of like culturally happened because of the amount of people that had used it.
Very interesting. Like you have a fairly large team. Like you have over 100, seller team. And the fact that you're lucky and super humble that your end users are actually adopting to the tool and internally talk about it, that shows that again, there is a way that AI can really impact performance for the end user as well. Because sometimes we look at tools like, how can I get more data as a leader just to make sure I understand everything and what's happening and have a way to hold people accountable for what they say and do. But when the end user sees value in something and they start actually leveraging it, I think then that make things really easy for a leader to make a decision whether to keep a tool or fire it or replace it. And it's been very valuable for us working with company like yours because not only you got great data, you never gatekeep, data is always available and accessible. And I think what you guys did fantastically and different compared to many other people that, I've seen and worked with is the fact that leadership was involved in rolling out from the day we roll out SMTP till today after a year. So everybody's hands on, everybody knows what's going on, everybody knows the updates, and the feedback loop is always being continuous. Pablo, quick question. So I want to talk about some challenges too, because if you remember, after second boot camp, we got this massive, spike of usage. People are using like crazy. Then people get hired, they get to the position, they feel they arrived, and they're like, okay, I'm good. I don't need, much role play at this point in my time. So yes, maybe there are some new products or new rollouts or whatever I come practice, but not as often as, the time I did during boot camp. And then the idea was real time and post call coaching was introduced and you guys rolled it out. So I wanted to hear a little bit about what problems we were trying to solve at the time, not only to get more adoption for the tool, but from the end user perspective, because we know coaching and practice should be continuous. There's no doubt about that. But in Reps's perspective, I have a job. I have to go talk to my customers. I have to go, sell. So if what I'm using is not within my day-to-day work, I'm not going to pay too much attention to it. So I wanted to hear from your perspective, what changed since then after graduation for your reps and what actually you started to leverage with SellMeThisPen and if you can share some of the impacts of it.
Yeah, I think there are two main perspectives that need a distinction. It's using a role play for training and using a role play plus the extension as a continuous help platform. So I think the main challenge at the beginning is that, like I said, we're saying like we already passed the training. I don't need to do that thing again. I can just do the real calls. That's it.
Okay.
And I also think we still come from that previous to AI world where we rely everything on the human side, which is not bad. Yeah. But I've come to understand that, okay, if there's things that I can have help from a tool, then what are the things I can focus more that only I as a human can actually give? So one of the challenges was that, like understanding that the tool was not only helpful just for training and for to pass bootcamp, but it could help you navigate different possibilities. So one of the things that being an AI, it has this neutral environment of not another human in the other side. So we have noticed people with challenges on their tonality. I said, like, look, changing the tonality on a real call can cost you the deal, can make you feel uncomfortable, can make you sound not worthy, and maybe a potential client just gets off and they don't buy. Try that with the tool. Try different aspects of yourself. That's a safe environment to do it. And that's not, everyone has training. Like, what's the problem with tonality? Yes, you work down a bootcamp and that's okay. But what if you change region? What if you enter the company in low season and you have all the time to talk with the customers, and then boom, we have a spike and we have the storm and clients are calling and calling and they are in urgency, and you have not tried your voice and your speed to tackle that. So there's where we say, like, use a tool also to train on adaptability and change.
Mm-hmm.
I have personally recommended that to some reps, like, hey, you're struggling with tonality, let's do that. I mean, you can do it with me, but we will see once a week. With a tool, you can do it every day. Start your day 15 minutes earlier. Jump in a role play. Try to sound different. Try to do another thing. The other thing that I have seen is that, so we have the platform where we can do the role plays, but we also have the extension. So when reps get into a call, they have this list of things that they should cover. I could see the detractors of AI saying, like, there's no quality better than a rep that actually knows that by heart. And yes, that is true. But we're also humans and we can forget something. And I think the best combination is that human that is super well trained and still they can see the list and understand, yes, I know it, or decide, I'm not going to do that one. I'm going to do that later because this person is like this. And that helps organize. It's like having traffic signals. I know the road. I don't need the signals. I don't need to drive and see the stop and the turn left and you cannot turn right here. But having all that gives you the confidence that you are going through the road that you actually know and you can anticipate certain things. I have seen that. I have seen people that have been with us like 4 years. They knew the old way. They knew the prehistorical way. And they know I really like the AI because it helps me focus through the call on what are those salesmanship things, those soft skills that I can put as a human. And I know that it's helping with this. And it's not that they don't know what they need to talk, what they need to include in the call, but having that freedom, it helps them navigate other aspects that normally they would not.
Interesting. So it's basically just helping them being more confident, if you will.
Yeah.
Okay.
Focus
Can
on
we
being themselves.
Exactly. So you focus on, conversation and being centered. You're not worried about, like, okay, do I remember exactly what I wanted to ask? To your point, like if you're rolling out a new, let's say, product, or you change your position, or for your case, you guys have storms when you have a lot of inbound leads, coming in and tons of requests. You don't need to really try to memorize everything because AI is there just to give you the guidance you need. Pablo, can we talk about some numbers? Can we share some of these like numbers that you've seen in any aspect of your revenue org? I'm just really curious, like to really understand, is there a way to measure the impact of an AI tool like SellMeThisPen? And if you could just share what you've seen within your organization.
Look, there's one part of the cost that has, for me, invaluable already revenue, which is the human or the cost of human people doing role plays and training, both for bootcamp and for the ramp up period. The amount of attention that a new person needs, it's huge. So having the role plays, having the extension, having the coach, after each call they can ask what could I have done better. If you translate that amount of support that they have into human hours, that would cost you a very large leadership team with high salaries. And I don't think there's any company that can pay for that. Like we can still give support, guidance, and training without having to double or triple our management team. That's a cost that has not been calculated because for luck and thanks to this, we have not had to had. But I want to put it because it's not just the revenue that gives, but the amount of money that we will need to spend in order to give that ongoing support to 100 people at the same time. The capability of passing from 10 people bootcamp to 50 people bootcamp and with a faster learning curve. Thanks to the, of course, there's a lot of things, the organization of the bootcamp, all the training content, the main trainer putting all things together, but the role plays, the constant role plays. We are now sure and we trust perfectly those people that get to the phone on the first day that they really get customers, they know how to handle closes. To give you an example, today it's Friday. They started taking leads on Monday. We already have closes.
So fresh out of boot camp.
Fresh out of bootcamp. Because they were trained with that, so they could jump into their first call or their second or their third call, and one of those already closed. So we saw this. It's not just the amount of deals that were closed, but how soon they will do it. So the ROI of that investment that is done in a boot camper, normally it would take much longer to return. Now it's much faster. Yes. So we're seeing people closing deals sooner, people having the ramp up things sooner than before, and also a lower attrition, even if sales environment, it's a natural environment to have changes and attrition, and in every, I would believe in every market and every company, this is something very normal. But we have also seen all the bootcamps previous to 2024, I would say that attrition is about 90%.
Wow.
And after 2024, we have been able to have like some groups more than others, but from 50 to 60%. So we have already lowered down that a lot. People going through what normally is a PAP, a bad period, this is a tool that already helps us. Okay, you're in a bad moment because, I don't know, you change region, you're passing through something. That don't expose yourself and use the tool. Train yourself. Go back to basics. Go back to like, okay, how can I focus without exposing that training moment with the real client? It has helped us get people back to speed.
Makes sense. Appreciate you sharing. It seems like, again, the impact of SellMeThisPen is at least something that you guys can notice and appreciate, and that means a lot to us for sure. Anything else you wanted to add, Pablo, about like using similar tools like SellMeThisPen within the sales org that I miss asking?
Look, this has been really interesting. One thing that I would recall that not as a tool, but as SMTP as a company, it's the flexibility. So we have given you tons of information about Ergeon, our processes, product, clients, kind of calls, but you have always adapted to things that could help us. And I think that's where the debate of human versus AI goes down. As you said, you have had so many creative talks with Jose, the head of the department. It's actually going through like, how could we put these things together? You have been flexible and you have adapted and evolved towards things that we need. So role plays, new kind of role plays, the extension, the coach, the kind of data that it gives us. So I want to say that one of the good things about this AI platform is that human-led company that supports it. It's not the tool, only the tool. It's those two sides.
I think, again, I appreciate it. Like, we really enjoy working with you guys, and we are here to, help you guys succeed. But the fact that you just nailed it. You said, hey, it's not just about the tool, it's the humans behind it and how we actually combine the power of AI and how we approach our clients, our partners, our employees using and leveraging these tools together. And some of the things that we build it together, like getting creative together as human beings, whether it's vendor or partner or whatever we call it, to come up with a solution rather than just a tool. Hey, you have this tool that you can just plug in and use. But no, really just focus on understanding my business and your business. How can we build this synergy to keep improving and making things better together? I think is more important just having access to AI itself alone. All right, Pablo, really do appreciate you joining the call. If someone wants to reach out to you, first and foremost, can they and how?
Find me on LinkedIn, Pablo Jaramillo, performance coach, Ergeon. You will find me.
Okay, amazing.
Write me, no problem.
All right, man. Thank you very much for taking the time. Hope you guys enjoyed the session, and see you soon. Bye for now.
See you. Thanks for the invitation. Always nice to see you.
The same pleasure. Bye.